Good day, and thank you for attending this broadcast. We're coming to you live from the United States here in Boulder, Colorado. This is a tremendous opportunity to spend some time together, to consider and to look ahead at some incredibly important developments coming our way. This is the first broadcast of 3 each day, today, tomorrow, and Sunday. This broadcast is centered around this important reality of the great turning point for humanity. The great turning point for humanity. Tomorrow's broadcast will be entitled Entering a New Reality, World Change, Alien Contact, and a New Experience of God. And the Sunday broadcast will be titled The Arrival of a New Message from God. Amazingly. The great turning point for humanity. This is the topic for our time together. So we stand, and we know this, at a great threshold. An enormous change is building in the world. Changes are building in the world. There are powerful forces in motion across the world, which, for better or worse, will probably reshape our lives in our lifetime. And perhaps you have been seeing and feeling these great changes in this movement, and that's why you're here. So thank you so much. You stand at a great threshold, along with everyone else. You do. You face a new world reality, as do I. And you have been looking and you have been listening. You have been looking and you have been listening, and that is why you're here. So thank you. So let's just take a moment in preparation for our time with Marshall V. Summers to consider these great forces at work. Just a moment. These great forces, political forces, environmental forces, huge economic forces, social forces, great forces, huge, huge forces. These forces have been building for quite some time. And given what's coming over the horizon, how will your life change? That's the question. Where do you need to be? Where do you need to be? What do you need to do going forward to meet this new reality, this new world reality that we are entering? How are these forces of change connected to you and your purpose for being in the world? Big questions. Big questions. So you and I and all of us have the opportunity now to look ahead, to see what's coming over the horizon. That's what our time together is for today. Marshall V. Summers is with us. He will reveal the nature of the great changes and this great turning point that we are at, why these changes are happening, what you can specifically do to prepare. This will be a beginning of a series of teachings, as I said earlier. So who is Marshall V. Summers? Who is this man? He's a world teacher. He's undergone a long journey. He spent 38 years engaged in a process of revelation, receiving the largest body of revelation, as far as we know, ever in history. I know that's a huge statement, but it's true. To date, he has released over what are 20 books, which contain these revelations. They're being studied by people in over 135 countries and being translated in approximately 34 languages. He's walked a long road, most of the time in obscurity. He's with us here. My name is Patricia Summers. I am Marshall V. Summers' wife. I've walked this road with him for now, I believe it's 38 years. 38 years, what a story. You have a story. I want to know your story. May I hear your story someday? So it's an honor to be sharing this broadcast with you. And let's take a moment to prepare for Marshall.
Thank you for joining us today. I have this rare opportunity to share with you some things of tremendous importance for your life, our life, your future, my future, our future, coming from the greatest source possible, which I'll be talking about a little bit later. I know you are probably feeling the monumental nature of our times, and many people are afraid to feel these things or see these things. So it takes courage to do this. Without explanations, without definitions, to observe, to learn, to respond. That's what's being asked of us now. Having definitions will not help us if we can't see what is occurring and what is happening and what is coming over the horizon in our lives. So today I'm going to be speaking about the biggest forces moving the world today and how this will reshape our future as we prepare to really enter a new world reality, a future that will be unlike our past in so many ways. I'm going to provide a series of revelations to you. I'm not going to speak of them in depth. I'll be doing that in the coming weeks and months. But I want to create a picture, creating broad strokes, to give you a larger view, a sense of the world at large, where our world is heading, where we're all going together, willingly or not, aware or not, prepared or not. In the end, I will speak about where these revelations come from. They don't represent my ideas. They're not a product of my imagination. They're a gift to humanity at this great turning point in our history. To know what's happening in the world gives the context for understanding who you are and why you've come at this time. This represents a larger view of your life from a higher perspective. As we struggle to survive as human beings in a difficult and hazardous world, we're also here on a mission, every one of us. The potential that lives within us at a deeper level. We've all come into this world to serve this world at this time under these circumstances in unique ways, unique to who we are and how we're designed as individuals. So therefore, it's very important to understand where the world is and where it's going. To look at that without condemnation, without denial, without avoidance. First of all, we have changed the world in so many ways that now it is changing on its own. Were we to stop contaminating the world at this moment, the change would continue. We have set in motion forces beyond our understanding. And we'll be living with the consequence of that, which is both a hazard and an opportunity. The world we see today will be largely unrecognizable in 20 or 30 years. As the world heats up and the lands dry out, as the seas rise, as our ability to function in this world becomes more difficult, requiring greater cooperation. Even at this moment, living with a worldwide pandemic, it will not be ending anytime soon, for it's only gaining strength even as I speak. This represents the first of a series of great waves of change that are coming and that are here now. As Patricia has said, they've been building for some time. How we respond to this first great wave will tell us a great deal about our willingness to see, to know, and to take action as individuals and collectively. But this is the world, again, we have come to serve. It will be shocking, it will be challenging, and it will call forth from every one of us the greater gifts that we have within us, beyond our own reckoning, beyond our own desires or goals or ambitions. If the world were too easy, we would never find ourselves here. For we have been sent here for a purpose. And the purpose is related to the world that we see, the world that we don't want to see, the world that we avoid. So this takes real courage. For the things I'll be telling you today will have every level of importance for your future and the future of humanity. Into this changing world at a pivotal time, forces from the universe have come to intervene in our world. Whereas we hope, and once I hoped, they would be here for a good purpose, to help us, to give us wisdom, technology, guidance. But in my heart, even way back then, and what has been revealed to me ever since, has shown me that that is not the case. They are opportunists here to take advantage of a declining world and a confused and divided humanity. They are not great military forces. That is not their strength. Their power is the power of persuasion. They're functioning behind the scenes in our world. But the evidence of their presence has been with us for decades. Many of you know this already. But before you come to conclusions, it's important to know that we are the natives of this world. And what we're facing is an intervention, such as the interventions of the past in our world, and what that meant for the native peoples of those times, who could not see and understand the forces that were intervening in their world. Intervention is not visitation. You must know this. It's the one thing that can unite a fractured and divided humanity, who's becoming ever more fractured even at this moment. Contentious, divided, as the world's resources decline, as life becomes more difficult. This is when intervention happens. For our world is a precious place in a universe of barren planets. It has been observed for a long time by various forces, waiting for the moment when they would take their opportunity to gain control of a place of such magnificence. They cannot live here, so they need us to work for them, to serve them. Look at the history of intervention in our world. Has that not been the case? Repeatedly, over and over, with hardly an exception that you can name. This is life. This is not God punishing us. This is not because of our sinfulness, or this is life. This is what happens when you have something of great value, in this case the whole world. It is sought by others and needed by others. But humanity has the strength to resist this intervention. And in my future teachings, I'll be explaining what this intervention is, how it functions, what limits it, what gives it strength, and how it can be resisted. Into this divided world now, religions are unable to prepare us for these two great events: a new world reality and our emergence into a greater community of intelligent life in the universe. Bound to the past and contentious with one another, they cannot prepare us now. Though they hold great wisdom and virtue and value, which I honor, they cannot prepare us for what is coming over the horizon. They were given in ancient times, yet now we are facing a new world reality and our emergence into a universe that we know nothing about. In addition, the growing poverty, the spiritual poverty of the world, the physical poverty of the world, is making our nations ever more unstable. Human suffering is growing. Human dissension is growing. These are the times we live in, which are chaotic and appear to be ever more hazardous. Many people will turn away and not even want to look at these things I speak of, for they do not have the strength or the heart to do so yet. They want to believe that the future will be like the past, but the future will never be like the past. And the future we're facing most certainly will be very, very different. We live in a world where growing numbers of people are drinking from a slowly shrinking well. Food, water, resources. How will we deal with that? What will guide us? What will unite us? What will tear us apart? You can't change this. You can't make it go away. We can mitigate it, we can prepare for it, we can survive within it with great determination. Not relying only on political leaders or religious leaders, but on what's native to us as individuals, the inner strength that God has given us to meet these times, to adapt to these times. The growing poverty in the world, the shrinking of the world's resources puts at great risk global war on a scale never seen before, as nations vie and compete for the remaining resources of the world. This is a great danger. It is not our destiny, but it is a great danger and must be considered. As the well shrinks, people will either unite or turn against one another. Do not think that you can see the outcome, for it has not yet been determined. Do not think the outcome is assured, for it has not been determined. It is we who will determine it. God will not intervene, for God has given us the power to see, to know, and to take action under these very circumstances that I speak of here today. If you were born 100 years ago, you would have a different set of directives than you have today that live within you at a deeper level. So the answer and the solution to these things that I speak of is both within us and beyond us. Because within us, God has placed the power of knowledge, what I call knowledge, which is a deeper intelligence within us that is still connected to our source, whether we are religious or not, no matter what our religions prescribe, no matter what we believe or don't believe. This is an unalterable truth that lives within us. It represents the source and foundation of our spirituality. It represents our connection with our source that has been unspoiled and beyond persuasion from the world. It is pure, powerful. But it goes unknown in the world. It's only been discovered by a few. This is how God will save us as individuals, and how we, through our own efforts and uniting together, will save the world, to preserve the world so that we may live in a new world reality. It's not the end times. It is a time of great transition. It's not the end of the world. It's the beginning of a new world reality. The change that it will produce will be greater than anything that has ever been known in the time of human civilization. Though if you look at the history of the world itself, the things I speak of are just the normal ebb and flow of great change on a planet. The higher power speaks to this knowledge within you. You cannot control this knowledge. You cannot use it for your own benefit or use it to enhance your life. It cannot be controlled and manipulated by any force in the world or the universe at large. It represents the center of your power, your integrity, and your gift and gifts to be given to this world. All true religions point towards the core of your spirituality, your divine connection. This is what it is, functionally. Not idealistically, but functionally, this is what it is. You felt this before. Moments of clarity and moments of objectivity, in moments of seeing things clearly or feeling warnings holding you back or urgings leading you forward. You have felt this before. This is not a matter of withdrawing from the world and seeking enlightenment. This is not the time for that. Maybe 1 in a million individuals can do that. That is not what is being asked of you and me and us at this time. Even the great spiritual teachers in the world will have to echo what I am saying here today. But what I'm saying here today represents a new revelation from God. A great revelation given at a great turning point for humanity. For why else would God speak to the world unless humanity was gravely threatened and undergoing tumultuous and unpredictable change? Entering a reality now that is unknown to us as the human family as a whole. This is important to consider. I'm not asking you to believe what I'm saying, but to consider it. For we are not going to prepare for these great waves of change, these planetary changes. There are individuals who are guiding us and alerting us, but we do not yet have the eyes to see and the heart to know, the willingness to change. We cannot figure this out. It is too great. It has gone too far. And we are living in the midst of it. Even this pandemic we're facing now will take years to resolve. And the damage that it creates will take years to resolve. If that alone were the only thing challenging us, this would be the biggest event in our recent history. But oh no, there are greater forces of change at work, greater waves of change. God has put knowledge within us to enable us to see and to know and to act responsibly and constructively. But we need a new message from God to clarify what our relationship with God is, what we're being asked to do here in the world at this time, how to heal our distraught and distressed lives, how to unite the world's religions, which all have a common source and a common emphasis if seen clearly. We'll take a new message from God to give humanity the power, the strength to do what must be done. To bring people together out of mutual need. For only a great need and a great crisis can unite humanity. Only a great need and crisis can unite you. Avoid this and you avoid the very thing that will make you strong, competent, and successful. This is a hard message, but it's the message that will make all the difference for those who can receive it and respond. My task is to bring this revelation into the world, to receive it over a long period of time, to undergo a mysterious and long preparation, most of which occurred living in a withdrawn state, out of the public view. It's the largest revelation ever given to humanity, given into a modern world of global communication, global commerce, growing global awareness. It is for now and for the future. It throws open the doors to the reality of life in our local universe. It reveals what intervention is, why it is occurring, and how it can be resisted. It shows us the real nature of our spirituality in the simplest possible terms. It can be translated into every language of the world, which we're undertaking to do right now with the help of many, many people. The future looks grave and can seem hopeless, but God has spoken again. The word and the sound are in the world. And in these coming broadcasts, I'll be speaking more in depth on all the things that I mentioned today and many other things as well. For the new message speaks to nearly every aspect of our life, to all of our questions, the irresolutions of life, the questions of religion, spirituality, service in the world, the nature of true happiness, true relationship, true work. All appropriate for these times and the times to come. For God only speaks to humanity perhaps once in a millennia. Times of great change and opportunity. These are very big things beyond the purview of most people, beyond the concerns of most people. I invite people of all faiths to receive this because it will enlarge their spiritual reality and the greater meaning of their religious traditions. For the messengers that came before, pivotal turning points in humanity's history, were all part of an ongoing process of the protection and elevation of humanity. This is God's latest presentation to meet the great needs of our time and the times to come. What I've said today are but a few of the great things that are happening in the world, but these are the greatest. A changing planet, an intervention from the universe, either which could destroy human civilization and forever end human freedom on this planet, alter the course, destiny of every person on this planet. But these are great waves, and they produce other ways. They can bring out the best in us or the worst in us. They can reveal our holy side and our dark side. That is why God must speak again. And the words and the gift is beyond human understanding, but so relevant and so useful to our need today and the needs to come. For consider, no one on earth knows how to prepare for life in the universe. No one on earth knows what it looks like, how it functions, what would empower or limit an intervention here on earth, why an intervention would even occur. There's no way we could even conceive of preparing for something of that magnitude. You need a gift from the source of all life to do this. The ancient revelations cannot prepare us. The great traditions cannot prepare us. The great philosophies cannot prepare us, just for this one major thing. But on top of that, we're facing a world reality that humanity has never had to face as a whole. And the challenge of survival, the risk and danger of war, and the promise of a greater unity are all tied into this great movement of life that we're now a part of and cannot escape. For some of you, this will feel very consonant with how you're feeling and the things you may be aware of. For others, it will be a great shock. Perhaps some of you will go into denial and say, this cannot be. But what I'm speaking of to you here today can be known within your heart. If you can open yourself to that. I'm not asking you to believe, but only to consider and to be with your own experience and to reflect upon what you see and how you regard yourself and other people, and the degree to which you may have experienced this presence of knowledge that lives within you, which is God's greatest endowment to you. So I'll conclude here today, for the blessing is with us and with you. God has spoken again. The world is in its greatest need, facing its greatest trials. And you and I have come to be here at this time. May the blessing be with you.
Thank you, Marshall. Let's just take a moment to consider and to see what Marshall's put before us in terms of this great turning point for humanity, for us. Just take a moment. He speaks of this ebb and flow of great power across the world, across our world. This earth, I often think of planet Earth and it's seemingly a big world, small planet, amidst an enormous panorama of life in the universe, potentially. So we're facing great waves of change. We know this. We know this. We've been experiencing this, and we will see it and experience it going forward. We will. We're experiencing contact with intelligent life. Okay. Some of us have innately had a sense for this, even since childhood, that something of this nature was coming. It was coming, But it's not what we expect. It may be not what anyone expects. So we need to be open to this reality as it emerges, right? The religions of our world, as anchored as they are in our history and our past, are not in a position to fully prepare us for what's coming. Okay. So there's a calling to these great faith traditions. There's a calling to come forward and to meet the needs of the people. The people who have responded to them. This problem of growing poverty and inequality in the world, it's a problem. It's a huge problem. What do we know about this? Will we meet this problem? Will we face this problem? Will we contend with this problem? Marshall's calling us to see what we know about this. The fracturing and breaking down of nations in the face of these huge changes. How can this be? Well, this is what we've been. This is what we've done. But is this what we'll do going forward? What do we know here? What do we know? So this man and the revelation he's received is calling us to what we deeply know. What we deeply know. We've been knowing and having an experience of insight our entire lives. It's time for us to come to terms with this greater intelligence within us, to respond, to heed, and to work with this, and to see what it portends for us and the world, where it would have us go, what it would have us do. This greater intelligence. So, this has been an important time together. There's an enormous revelation that Marshall's received, awaiting you should you choose to explore it. As he said, it has taken him over 38 years to receive this revelation. You can actually hear it. He said the voice and the word are in the world. What he means by that is you can actually hear these revelations being spoken. You yourself, just you, to determine the reality of these and the truth of these revelations and this voice of revelation. You can read them. You can be with them. So there's next steps that you can take should you choose to. This revelation can be found online at newmessage.org. Marshall has made the revelation completely accessible to people all over the world So just come, partake, listen, read, be with, realize. 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 It's calling to you. It's calling to you. Take time to consider your lifelong experience of knowing, of what you've known. This is the term knowledge, inner knowing. Yes. And consider joining us for Marshall's teachings tomorrow and Sunday here on broadcast. And so we're so grateful for the time we've had here with you. And we look forward to seeing what our time together and on Sunday will be like as well. So thank you, be well, and look forward to seeing you soon, perhaps.